don't know why, but right now I just had like a massive urge to do a gamer girl ASMR. Now this might just be because I've done one every Monday, and it just turned Monday right now for me. So I was like, hey, I kinda have the urge to do one of these now. This is going to be gamer girl ASMR bonus number 1 or something, because I'm not gonna do it like weekly anymore. I'm gonna do it whenever. So this might not even be coming out right now, and it's not going to have gameplay footage in the background, because that's like the really like energy and time consuming part for me. Because like when I do like the gameplay footage in the background, I just kinda like have to spend a lot of time and effort in doing it, but that's just how it is, and I'm completely fine doing it audio only, because it's a bonus episode. It's not part of the main series, I guess. But yeah, I've just been having like ideas that I want to talk about, and don't really have like a way to do it. So I've just been doing like tiny vlogs and stuff. But I don't know, like I have ideas that aren't like quite good enough for like tiny vlogs that I want to talk about. So I guess this is just like a way for me to express myself. Now, one thing that happened to me that I want to talk about on a podcast is I kind of went insane for a while just by watching like a lot of movie anime. I watched the entirety of K and then the entirety of Lucky Star, and now I'm just finishing up with a Mari sketch in like 12 days or something. So I've been watching like 3 hours of movie anime a day. Now, I had to stop for a couple of days because it was getting too much and my head was hurting, and it was getting bad. I didn't quite like where it was getting, so I was just like, hey, I'm gonna stop this for a while, and I'm gonna go do other things. Then I broke my computer, and then I had to reinstall my OS. So now I finally moved over from Arch Linux to Manjaro Linux. So now I'm on Manjaro Linux. But yeah, anyway, in that entire process, I had like this place where I just had like this like mental breakdown, where I just kept like seeing my entire life framed through like anime girls, like movie anime girls, because I was watching Lucky Star and I was like, wow, Konata really kinda acts like I acted when I was in school. So I was like, my entire evolution is just from like Konata to like Tomoko to Misaki to Lane. I'm just a series of anime girls. My entire life can be encapsulated within anime girls. And then I was like, then I started like having thoughts about hair colors and stuff, and it's like, oh no, and that just kind of went crazy. It's fine. It's not a big deal at all. But what it ended up meaning ultimately is that I just like I just had a really weird night, and I was like, hey, if I ever wanted to just go completely crazy, incredibly fast, this would be the moment to do it. Then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to sleep instead, because that wasn't really like a way, like the way to act. And then I watched the Hidamari sketch a lot, like a giant amount, for like a few days, because it's a really long anime, and I had to like I wanted to get it done by I think like, how many days ago was it? Like a week ago? Not a week ago. It's less than a week ago. How many days? Like 4 days ago. I wanted to have finished the Mario sketch like 4 days ago, and then I was like, okay, it's fine if I finish it like, I guess it's 2 days ago now, or 3 days ago. I don't really know, like 50 hours ago, let's say. That's like an objective statement. So I was like, okay, it would be fine if I finished it 50 hours ago. But then I didn't, because I had to stop, because it was actually like damaging my health, like not just my mental health, it was also damaging my physical health, so that wasn't really great. But yeah, I have all of that sorted out now, and I'm just watching Kitamari sketch again, and I'm not going insane. Although like one thing that also happened during this time period is I got kind of obsessed about like the word Gohan, right? I think that's the word, like the word for, that's like both rice and meal in Japanese, right? It's Gohan, because someone in the anime pointed out, like, or some anime, I think it was Lucky Star, pointed out that the word for rice is so important for Japanese people that like the word for meal is rice. So it's like yeah, Gohan is a word. But yeah, it was like, okay. And then I just got obsessed over it because in Hidamari sketch people talk about meals a lot. And when it gets translated, right, it gets translated as like lunch or dinner because it's like an important part in like Western culture, I guess, for like English people and American people have like these like really strict breakfast foods and lunch foods and dinner foods. Like that entire culture, that has never made any sense to me. I've always just been like, okay, I'm just gonna have whatever I feel like eating whenever I feel like eating it, right? I don't get breakfast foods, I don't get lunch foods, I don't get the arbitrary distinction between like the time of day and the type of food you're eating. Now, like, I get having like specific amounts of food at specific times. Like, oh, I want the light meal at dinner because if I eat before I go to sleep, I metabolize the food first and then I get fat. Or hey, I want to eat like a bunch of food in the morning because then I'll have energy. Like because I hate being awake in the morning. Or if you don't have that problem, you might be like, hey, I want to have a bunch of food at lunch because that's gonna make my life better. Also, I'm seeing like this giant spider crawling on the wall. And the finger spiders here is that, like, we don't have any dangerous spiders. I know that this spider is just gonna be a friend. But it's a really thick spider. Usually, like, it's not like a tarantula or anything. It's nothing like that. But, like, it's like legs are, like, abnormally thick for the type of spiders I'm used to. It has, like usually when I see like small spiders, like they kind of look like mosquitoes when it comes to how thick their legs are. But this spider is like the size of like a fly, I guess, like a medium-sized fly or like a bigger fly, I guess. I don't know how to describe the size of this spider. It's like it looks around like a centimeter and a half long. And all of its like legs are like relatively thick compared to what I'm used to. Like they cast shadows and stuff like pretty decently, and I'm really not used to spiders like that, so yeah, there's a big spider here. I personally don't really mind spiders, but when I saw it crawl from the corner of my eye, that was kind of intimidating. But yeah, anyway, I didn't know where I was before I saw the spider. But yeah, like, I kind of got obsessed with the word Gohan because it gets translated. Oh, yeah. I just eat whatever you want whenever you want. All the, like, distinctions between the time of day and the type of food you're supposed to eat are just kind of dumb. In my personal opinion, they might have some value for someone, but they don't really have any value for me. But yeah, anyway, like, I got obsessed with the word for Gohan, right? Because it's like, okay, what are the implications in Japanese, right, when you say Gohan? Because they don't have the implications of lunch and dinner, so you just say, hey, come have a meal, right? And it also means the same word as rice, it's just like, it doesn't practically mean anything. It's just a type of word that doesn't really exist in, like, I don't know, it's just neat, I guess. But yeah, that's one thing I got obsessed with. And then it's also like, there's like this syndrome where if you watch a lot of anime, you start thinking that you can like know Japanese from like the subtitles, right? Like, oh, they say okaeri and the subtitles translate, I'm coming home, right? Oh wow, I know Japanese because I have like the most basic Japanese vocabulary, right? But like the thing with languages is that no matter how much of a vocabulary you have, you don't know the language if you don't know like the grammatical rules of the language. Like I could go to Japan and be like, oh, ich kohan arigato or whatever, but that won't mean anything because I don't know like the rules of the language or like the way it's supposed to be spoken or anything like that. That's actually like relevant to being able to speak the language in like a meaningful way. Like I don't have an understanding of the language. I can just copy some words in like a way that doesn't really make that much sense. Also, I'm just like the pauses are when I just glance at the spider because I want to know where it's going. And right now, just hanging out by like a door type thing, like a door frame. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's one thing that like also happened during my moe psychosis. That's what I'm gonna call it right now. My moe psychosis. Now, another thing that I really wanted to talk about is like, I did not know that this would be a controversial opinion. Like there are a lot of things that I think like, oh, crazy, wacky, toad smite, heavy autism. No one would ever think those thoughts. No one would ever like be like that. But like with this idea, I genuinely was shocked to find out that this is not like the baseline for everyone. Like I didn't expect to like find out that there are people who thought differently. Like no matter, like I genuinely could not have anticipated that people thought differently and weren't just complying with someone. But like the entire thing of like graduation ceremonies and like fucking school entrance ceremonies, right? My opinion has always been, and I thought this was reasonable, I thought this was the most common opinion possible, that all that shit was completely pointless, right? My opinion was simply that there's no reason to have like any of it. All of it is just like the biggest waste of time for absolutely no gain, because like ostensibly on a normal school day you learn something, right? You don't learn anything on like a graduation or entrance ceremony or whatever. It literally just exists to like force you to attend something and waste like 2 hours of your time or something. Now, oh, this is a story I could tell before I get to my main point. But yeah, like back when I was in school, I managed to be disruptive enough in like a graduation ceremony or something, that the teacher, or like a ceremony that happened before like an extended break or something, that my like homeroom teacher was like, okay, you don't have to attend any of these ceremonies, because if you don't, like if you hate being here that much, no one wants you here because you're just like disrupting the thing for other people. And then I never went to one again. That was pretty cool. But yeah, like the thing is, like I never expected that anyone likes them. I never expected that there's like this like large like thing where like, oh, high school students don't get their graduation ceremonies because of coronavirus and now they're sad. What the fuck? That's like the biggest upside you could imagine. I don't have to waste 2 hours getting some fucking hat or fucking degree, and I can just fucking get my degree and then move on. I don't have to waste time being around people I don't even like, right? Just so I can get like fucking a piece of paper that says that I finished high school. But apparently people really value all of these events, even though they're like the most pointless. They don't give anyone anything. I don't get why anyone in their right mind would think, hey, I want to go to like a graduation ceremony. I guess it's like some type of like narcissism. That's genuinely the only like explanation I can have for it, because it's like, oh, it's an event that's being held for me. Or maybe it's not narcissism, maybe just being like self-absorbed or something. I can't fucking explain it. Like maybe it's just like, hey, there's finally an event that's dedicated to me. There's an event that's held like where other people are there to like congratulate me, where the teachers tell me that I'm like did well, and I don't fucking understand any of it. Like it's so fucking weird to me. And then like also in like a Damari sketch, like some character, the like tsundere girl, I don't remember her name right now, like Natsume or something, was like, oh, I was so excited for my entrance ceremony, and then I was almost late. Like, what? Why were you excited for the entrance ceremony? It's just the biggest waste of time that you could ever imagine. How can you be excited for it? I don't fucking understand any of it. I just simply don't understand any of it. How do people think that it's like even an okay thing to do, and it's like something they want to be a part of? Like, I don't fucking understand it. I always thought it was some like weird fascist power play by teachers who have like need some formality or whatever, but apparently people like them. Apparently it's something that people are a fan of. I don't fucking understand it. I genuinely can't understand why someone would like a graduation or entrance or fucking any of these ceremonies. I'm like genuinely lost here. Can someone explain it? If you're listening, please put it in the comments why you like any of these things. Also, I just figured out that since this is a bonus episode, it doesn't even have to be an hour long, which I should have figured out before. So I'm not gonna make it an hour long, I'm gonna make it as long as I want it to be, which is nice. I don't have to make it an hour long, it's... Okay, anyway. Actually, I'm gonna name it Omake number 1 because it's via thing. Anyway, the last topic I wanted to talk about is like people think that the like distinction between communism and socialism is so profound, right? And that's so weird to me because like to me it's obvious that like, hey, communism is a type of socialism, right? That's it. That's the only thing that matters, right? There are multiple types of socialism. One is communism. It's its own specific philosophy. That's so simple to understand for me. But then people act like they've discovered like some great mystery of the world, where they go like, hey, let me explain the difference between communism and socialism. Like, now obviously there are a lot of people who do not know the difference. There are a lot of people who do not understand the difference between communism and socialism, right? There are a ton of people who have no idea that there even is a difference. But like the thing is, you can explain the difference in 5 seconds. You don't need to go through like a fucking 40-minute explanation. Like, okay, I'm gonna explain in like 15 seconds why communism and socialism are different, right? Okay. Socialism is when the workers own the means of production. Communism is socialism, plus there's no commodity production, money has been abolished. Didn't even need 15 seconds. That's it. That's the only difference between those two philosophies at their core, right? And a lot of people go like, oh, you're not a socialist because you don't like care about abolishing money and commodity production that much. No, I'm not a communist, right? I mean, you can also say that there's like communism has like a fucking inherent element of state communism, because like that's a phase in communist theory where you transition. Like, I'm not gonna go into the transitionary state, like, oh, socialism is a transitionary state to get to communism. That's what communists believe, or not even communists. That's what Marxists in particular believe, right? Marxists think that there should be like this transitionary phase between like a fundamentally statist system of socialism to like a utopian state of communism, right? So you could say that communism inherently has like a state socialist element, but that's Marxism, right? Again, that's just a subset of communism. Now, it's the most predominant subset of communism, and you can be like, okay, we have like this Marxism here, it's a subset of communism, and okay, mostly Marxism involves the transitionary state between like a socialist state-controlled economy to communists like equal economy with no state, like a stateless communist economy. Now the state socialist economy is not going to be communist, whatever. That's just a Marxist theory, right? But none of this matters, none of this is profound. If you want the workers to control the means of production, which means if you want people to be able to like say and like make policy decisions based on where they work, you're a socialist. Now you could even say that, oh hey, I'm a socialist because like I support like capitalist ownership, except I want workers to have a voice. That's not socialism again, because it's all about like the fact that the workers have a voice, right? That's not the important part. The important part is that policy decisions cannot be made without the consent of the workers, and this is not true in like a capitalist system, right? Because like if there was like infinite labor mobility, where there were like an infinite amount of businesses and all of them were constantly hiring, right? You could say that, okay, private ownership, workers can control it, but it doesn't fucking matter, because that's not reality. In the real world there's scarcity, right? And the only way for workers to control where they work, what the policy of the workplace is, and so on, is if there cannot be any decisions made without like the consent of the workers. Now the workers can delegate the decision making, that's completely fine, I don't have any problem with that. Like, I don't want to be like a part of like a syndicalist system where I have to like spend hours voting on like policy, and like it's that's completely like, that's incredibly dumb in my personal opinion. Like, I just want that like there can't be like policy decisions made for like the things that I do without my own consent, right? I think that's like relatively like a reasonable position to have. But like I don't care about abolishing commodity production, and I don't care about abolishing money, because like I don't really have a problem with alienation, because like, yeah, obviously commodity production does create alienation. I don't think anyone really disputes this like right now, because like even capitalists don't dispute it, because they go like, okay, it creates alienation, but you can have like pride in your work, or whatever the fuck spooks that people have nowadays. I just personally don't care about it, because I don't care about alienation in general. Like, I want to maximize alienation, if anything. I want to create a maximal alienated system in like all fronts, because I don't care about humans at all. And for me, alienation is a state of being that like is superior to a non-alienated state of being. And I don't care about money, because the only problem with money in itself is when you have like commodity fetishism attached to money, right? So would I say I'm against commodity fetishism instead of like commodity production or money? Yeah, that would be my basic opinion, but I also think that that's something that each person themselves has to overcome. And I think like the current generation, the Zoomers, aren't really vulnerable to commodity fetishism anyway. Like, when have you heard like a Zoomer go like, oh, I want a big house and a big car? When have you ever heard a Zoomer be like that? Now, there can be future generations that have like way more commodity fetishism. And like Zoomers obviously are also like not over commodity fetishism, because like they're all like the fashion trends and like whatever that Zoomers still like really participate in. But it's like nowhere near as bad as it was when people were like, I want to spend like $20,000 on a car and like $100,000 on a house, and that's I want actually a house that costs $300,000 and a car that costs $100,000, but I can't afford it. Like that type of commodity fetishism, like that type of like really heavy duty fucking blow your mind retarded commodity fetishism. Like sure, like the Zoomers go like, oh, I want sneakers that cost like $100. I want $100 pair of sneakers. I want $300 jacket. I want a jacket that costs $300. Like sure, the Zoomers might be like that, and that's also like that's also kind of dumb. But like it's like for me it's like relatively inoffensive comparative to like all like the fucking older types of commodity fetishism. Like you can be like, oh, some Zoomers want a big house and a big car, sure, but like that's usually the fault of their boomer parents, and millennials like halfway point, because the millennials don't really have the like Zoomer commodity fetishism, and they have like the half of like the boomer commodity fetishism. But millennials also tend to be like really like tech obsessed types, like, oh, I want a gaming PC. I need a $2,000 gaming PC, or it's not enough. Because like they grew up in like an age where like technological advancement was like actually cool, instead of just being like boring and dystopian like it is right now. So a lot of millennials would go like, oh, I want a $1,000 phone, I want a $2,000 gaming PC, I want to like have a library of games that all cost like a fucking ridiculous amount. I want like $1,000 library of games. Oh no, actually I want a $2,000 library of games. I want a $10,000 library of games. I mean, I probably have like a $2,000 library of games, and I've spent a shit ton of money in microtransactions back when I didn't have anything else to spend money on for a game I really liked. But that is, again, I don't really think like that's like something to take pride in. That's just things that I happen to own, I guess. But yeah, it's just commodity fetishism isn't really great, right? Commodity fetishism is kind of like a mental illness, I guess. You know, it's something that kind of fucks up your perception of the world. But like again, I don't think the problem is with commodity production or money. I think the problem is like entirely with commodity fetishism. I don't think the economy should be ordered to produce only the goods that the people need or whatever. Like, don't produce like fucking commodities that no one needs. Don't produce goods that are unnecessary. Don't have like fucking duplicate factories producing the same good in excess. Like, I don't inherently have a problem with excess. I don't inherently have a problem with like useless production. I think that's like kind of like a weird mentality to have, like, especially if you're a socialist. Like, I can see why you would be like a capitalist and go like, hey, all of these systems are creating excess. This is inefficient. This is making less money than it could. I could make more money if I produce something else or crush my competition or whatever. Like, I could get where capitalists would think something like that. Or capitalists would be like, oh, look, all of these people are like wasting money producing, like, I don't know, like dragon dildos or whatever the fucking fascists hate them nowadays. Like, all of these people are all producing like dragon dildos. And that's a waste of money. This money could be spent on space exploration to perpetuate the capitalist system through the universe. Whatever the fuck. But like, if you're a socialist, why would you even care? Because like the workers get to make the policy decisions, right? The workers are the ones responsible for what gets produced. And if the workers are like, hey, we're gonna produce, I don't know, fucking dragon dildos, or we're gonna produce like bread number 5,000, we're gonna have 5,000 different types of bread, right? I don't get why I would care. Like, I'm fucking anyway, yeah, the fucking point is, I'm like fucking communism, Marxism. Not a big fan. I'm not the biggest fan of those philosophies. Egoism, market socialism, that type of shit. That's my shit. That's my shit. That's gonna be my shit for like until I change my mind. I like that shit. Like, oh, larger philosophical. Let's get deeper into philosophy. What are your base values, Toadsmite? Toadsmite, please explain your base values. It can't be that egoism is your base value. Are you really such a sterner poster? Okay, yes, egoism isn't my base value. It's just something I think is cool. Market socialism is obviously an economic system. Okay, another base value, right? So Toadsmite, who are you? What's your base value? Well, I'm an anarcho-nihilist. I like nihilism. I like things that are nihilist. Read desert. Go and read desert right now. Go type into Google the word desert anarchist library. Read that book. That's like a less doomer version of what I believe in, basically. So yeah, have a nice day. This was Omake #1 for Gamer Girl ASMR. Hope you enjoyed it.